welcome to 3 Qs and You. I'm your host, Kurt Owen, and today I have the wonderful honor of bringing a special guest to the show today. His name is Jim Poston, and he is also a wonderful, talented artist, actor, and performer who is also an award-winning anchor. Hey Jim, how's your day going?
It's going great, Kurt. I'm really excited to be talking with you tonight.
Very awesome. So to start things off, I just wanted to ask a simple question. You know, I know that you've taught at CWI and BSU, and then were like an anchor for over 16 years. How was the transition of, getting out of the news world and becoming a teacher? Just like, how different was that for you?
Radically different. However, I'll start with the similarities. In the TV news anchoring world, you've always got an audience. And you are performing. The curtain goes up, the red light on the camera goes on, and boy, you're live. And you either do it well or you don't. And in that sense, teaching isn't a whole lot different from that. The red light is the equivalent of walking into the room with a class of 30 people looking at you. The curtain goes up, you begin the lecture, discussion, class exercises, perhaps a quiz or two, and after an hour and 15 minutes, you're done. The performance is over. That's the similarity. The difference, I would say, has more to do with content. I think that teaching involves a little more substance, research, intelligence. Not that TV's not intelligent, but the TV world is 8-second sound bites, 90-second stories, maybe 10 minutes of news anchoring. So there's this compressed sense of time and very tight deadlines in the news world, whereas in the instructor for CWI, BSU world, there's a little more fluidity, a little more flexibility, and a little more substance.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot to take in. I think that the way I'd look at it is it's almost like you're not like down to a script. You get to really kind of free flow and make your own plan of your lectures with being a teacher versus like the control that it's just a different level of sense of control, which is just
Well, I think that's a great word, control. TV newscasts are tightly controlled down to the last second, to the point where if your story goes over, and the producer has you planned for 90 seconds and you go 2 minutes, she's freaking out because now you're 30 seconds over in a tightly controlled script where every second matters. So there's this constant sense of time pressure, and you just don't have quite as much of that. A little more flexibility in the classroom to go off on different tangents, depending on where the question and discussion leads you.
Wow, that's fantastic to hear for anyone that wants to kind of know that they can transition to different things in life, especially just taking different talents and putting them together.
And if you want to hear something really strange, Kurt, I started out with the endeavor of being an opera singer.
Oh, dang.
And spent my 20s getting a master's degree from the Boston Conservatory. And I've done a lot of stage work as a singer-actor. My most recent stage performance was in 2017 with Opera Idaho, so I'm still keeping my foot in that door. But yeah, I've had different iterations, right? Performing arts, media, and in this third iteration, I'm a teacher. So life sometimes doesn't go as planned.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And that's something I'd like to do, is be like a triple threat, because jack of all trades, But anyways, so we're going to go into the whole 3 Qs and You that we have set up for you today. And so we're going to go over 3 categories. So the first category is going to be career, the second category theater, and the third category wild card. And how these categories work is you get to pick one question from each 3 of the categories, and they're all actually students here on our team here at the studio. And so we have team white, orange, and blue. And each team, if you pick their card, they'll get a point. And each round you get a point up until the final tiebreaker round, which is 2 points. And it's just basically like a bragging rights kind of thing, but we'll see which team that you end up liking the questions from the most.
Sounds good.
So-
Fire away. So what are the categories, Kurt, again?
Oh yes, we have career, theater, and wild card for you today.
Did you say theater or fear?
Yes, theater.
Theater and wild card. I'm going to go with theater.
Want to start with theater first?
Yeah.
All right, sounds like a plan. Okay, so let me get those organized for you. I agree with you. That's a great category to go with. Kind of shoot for the heart, you know?
Right.
All right. So the first question from theater is, what has been your favorite role that you have ever played and why? The second question is, explain what are the most underrated theater shows you have seen and why it deserves more hype. The third question is, what is the most overrated show you've worked on screen?
I am going to take question number 1.
For sure. All right, Team White, you got 1 point.
And the question was role, favorite role,
Yep,
and why?
yep, your favorite role and why you enjoyed it.
Okay, well, this is not an easy question because I've done a lot of roles. It's kind of a toss-up. In high school, I played Emil in Rodgers and Hammerstein's musical, South Pacific. And that was very impressive for me. I learned a lot. But I think I will stay with that composer, but go with a different musical. I did the role of Billy Bigelow in Carousel, which is another musical by Rodgers and Hammerstein. And that was a wonderful character because this is a guy who has fallen madly in love with a woman, but doesn't want to admit it. And then all of a sudden he finds out that he's going to be a father. And what follows is one of the most famous soliloquies of all time in musical theater, in which Billy Bigelow contemplates for the first time being a father. And he goes through all of the things that a father might worry about. Is it going to be a girl, a boy? Is he going to be a good father, a bad father? And the song goes on for probably close to 7 or 8 minutes. And the character is deep and conflicted. And I think also that he didn't know a lot of things about himself that his girlfriend knew.
A lot of mysteriousness.
So that was kind of ironic, you know. And she pulled that stuff out of him, and they fell madly in love. I won't tell you how it ends and ruin the musical. It was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein, I think, in the late 40s. And Richard Rodgers said that was probably the best musical he ever wrote. And so it was a great pleasure and honor to do that role. I had full symphony orchestra, a beautiful new operatic theater with great acoustics, professional stage, makeup, costumes, the whole kit and caboodle. And that was just a very influential show. Loved the character, loved the music. Really one of my favorites.
That's fantastic. You know, I just can't imagine being on the stage with all of the different people together, just how much you'd have to portray that emotion, all the prep. Just, it must be such a it's so fascinating. I love looking up like voice acting and things of such, and it's almost like a smaller form of that, more controlled in a room, but to actually be in front of everyone and show them how much you care and actually getting into that role. I'd imagine it's so hard to almost switch out of your life and become that character.
It is hard, but a good composer with good lyrics can pull that out of you. That's why it always helps to have a good composer and good lyrics, because you can really build your character off of that. The biggest challenge is that there are so many moving parts. Like you mentioned, Kurt, you know, you got to worry about acting. Your entrances, are you going to hit the note right? Are you in the right place on the stage? And a million other questions that go through your mind at the same time. And then you've got to sing loud enough. Since we don't get to use microphones, in musicals and opera, you got to produce that volume with your body and your voice. So you're always worried about whether you can carry that orchestra with the quality of your voice. And then secondly, not only being heard, but being understood. Am I pronouncing the words correctly? So yeah, lots and lots of moving parts. Sometimes you pull it off and maybe sometimes you don't. It's very challenging. It's hard work, but it's fun.
And I think that's the main thing with any, sort of talent is to, if you can have fun with it, then at least you know you're in the right place and you feel at home,
Right.
That's fantastic. I could talk all day with you about that, but we'll move on to the next one. Would you like to go with career or wild card? On the show, we usually typically want to stay to the wild card last, but we can do whatever you're feeling in the mood for.
Well, you used the word control earlier. If I know what the topic is, I have a little more control over the answer, maybe. Wild card kind of scares me.
Oh, for sure.
What the heck is Kurt going to come up with for a question, or your classmates? So I'm going to play the safe route and go career.
All right, sounds like a plan to me. Got to save it for last anyway. That gives it a little spark.
Right.
All right, so question 1 for you through career is, how has your music career and your communications and media career overlapped? Number 2 is, explain something you love and hate about the performance industry that people may not know about. And number 3 is, what is one of the most niche parts of the performance industry that you enjoy? And
I'm going to go with number 1 again.
Going to go with number 1? Oh, Team White,
Yeah.
you're on the lead right now.
Wow, are you? Is number 1 the same one that had number 1 last time?
Yeah, it's the Team White. They're rolling right now.
I promise I'm not trying to favor anybody, but I really like number 1.
Hey, I'm all right with that. And I can read it back to you if you need me to.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, yes, for sure. How has your music career and your communications and media career overlapped?
Well, that's a great question, and I'll tell you why. All 3 are integral to who I am in the classroom. I draw on everything I've done the last 35 years to really inform my lectures and discussions. And the really cool thing in the classroom when I'm teaching is that I can draw on stories, anecdotes of things that happened in my media career and in my theater career that can be informative for my speech students. So there's tremendous overlap there. For example, when we're working on our speeches in Com 101, I can speak with some authority about how to produce a great voice, how to produce diction, vary your rate, your pitch, your volume to create a dynamic delivery. I wouldn't have that ability if I didn't have my theater background and all that voice training and acting training, okay? The media career, the same thing. When we talk about media in Com 101, I can relate to them personal experiences I had in that industry, positive and negative, right? That really gives me some credibility because I've lived through that and been a part of that profession in ways that give me credibility for my students. So they will know exactly what a media career entails. Because let me tell you, there's lots of positives and there's lots of negatives too. So the short answer to your question is everything in life and in my life in particular, all 3 of my endeavors really connect together to help me understand, communication in unique ways, because I don't think most people have the background I have.
Very true, and I think that's just, I could notice it too, because I had your media performance class, and when I took that class, one of the main things that you had us do was like warm up and do diaphragm work and like really getting our vocal cords going before starting anything, and then on top of that, just kind of, going through the scripts, you had the anchor background, and just like, it's just really, you get a little bit of the full spectrum in there, and I really enjoyed that. And funny enough, it was my first semester at BSU too when I had attended your class, and that just was it was an eye-opener. It's like I'm at this new campus, but I got to kind of already have this nice vibe and like experience to get me going in my media communications studies. So it was definitely awesome.
Well, thank you, Kurt. That's quite a compliment. Although you said you're graduating in the spring, I thought I just had you recently.
Oh, this summer actually, so real soon here. This is.
I guess you've gone through college pretty fast, huh?
Oh yeah, it definitely, yeah, it goes pretty quick because yeah, I was at CWI beforehand, so I'd already
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you had 2 years. at
Yep, I
BSU.
already had a little bit under my belt, but
Gotcha.
you know, I wanted to keep going with it, and BSU has just a lot more to offer in like the side of, you know, just with certain things, you know, it's a bigger campus. You have more choices, basically, is what I would say is a big one. And then at the same time, you're going to meet a lot more faces because just more people, you know. So it all
Right.
kind of connects together, but I think they're both beautiful campuses.
Well, yeah, and the great thing about it is students have that option that you took advantage of. Lower costs, great teaching at CWI, transfer over to BSU, get the benefits of a larger campus. So that you took it, you really, I think you played your cards well.
Thank you. Wow, this has been such a fun time. You think you're prepared enough for the wild card? It's going
I'm
to
gonna
be
give it a shot, buddy.
all right. We'll try not to scare you too much. We don't want to make you too nervous here at the show, but you never know. Never know
Alrighty.
what's going to be under these. Will we see Team White win, or are we going to get a little bit of a tie here? That's the drum roll here. All right. So, for question 1, we got, how did you make the decision to transition from being a performer to being a teacher? Okay. Question 2, if you could perform any role in any performance of your choice, what would it be and why? And then we got one last one. It's kind of long, but we'll see. What percentage of people in your career do you think are equally matched with you in terms of physical powers and then mental powers?
Man, that's a great.
That is pretty funny.
I want to shake the hand of the person that thought of that question. That's a great question.
Well, that was Team
I
Blue
don't
this
even
time.
know. Huh?
That was Team Blue this time.
I don't even know where to start on that one.
I know,
A lot of
right?
people are not only equal, they're better than I am in a lot of ways. So, but gosh, I hate to say it. I'm going to go with number 1 again.
Oh, wow. You hear that
Yeah.
here first, man. Team White's won this one. They slaughtered it. All 3 questions. That's crazy. So congratulations,
yeah,
Team
it was
White.
a great question. Could you refresh my memory?
Oh, yes, of course. How did you make the decision to transition from being a performer to being a teacher?
Well, some of the answer of that relates back to the last question.
Oh, for sure.
There's not a huge difference, frankly. They're both, all 3 endeavors that I've done, media, theater, and teaching, are performance oriented, and they have lots of stuff in common. For example, use of the voice to express yourself, whether you're a news anchor or a singer or talking in front of an audience in a classroom. You really have to have a good, strong delivery and be able to sell the message, so to speak. The transition to the classroom, that's tricky. I was in the media system in America we have a corporate media system that's very driven by profit. Stations are sold quite frequently, and there's lots of turnover. Shows are started, and they'll last a year or 2, and then they're not getting the ratings, so they cancel the show. So I had a couple of those experiences in the media, in that a couple of the 6:30 newscasts I was hired to anchor were canceled. It was cancel culture before cancel culture existed.
No, geez.
Literally. I mean, they just, sorry, Jim,
Gosh, damn.
we're going to cancel the 6:30 newscast. It's not your fault. And when that happens, you're kind of out of a job. And so I had enough of that, frankly, after 15 years, that I said, to heck with it. I'm going to do something where I can give something back to people, share my experience, my wisdom, my knowledge, hopefully, and help someone else, help someone in the classroom achieve their dreams and help them to accomplish what they want to accomplish. So it was really, in the end, not a tough decision to go from theater and media into something where it's more of a giving profession, right? Where you're helping people achieve their dreams rather than so much of the focus on me. And that was a good choice on my part. I haven't regretted a minute of it. I love the teaching. I've been doing it 13 years, and I wouldn't do anything else.
Well, what's nice is like, you know, you get to finally show people like all of that talent that you have and like how to, you know, foster them into growth as well, you know, and kind of, you know, base it off of your past experiences. And that's just such a, that's really what I think every professor should utilize the best of their abilities, and just really, that's the support that students want to see, you know. Kind of as just like a last wrap up from just our question just now would be, you know, starting off as a performer, you know, how did you find yourself getting into that? You know, I mean, it's been your whole life. You've been doing like media and opera. How did you really find yourself when you were younger, and like maybe even in high school or something? Like what inspired you to become an actor?
I had three professions I thought I might like to do: Coast Guard pilot, forest ranger, and news anchor. I did one of them later in life.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
But before I started the news anchoring, when I was 17 and in high school, my mom took me to my first opera in Indianola, Iowa. The Des Moines Metro Opera was putting on a performance of Tales of Hoffmann, which is a famous opera. And there was an opening chorus scene. And the stage was built in such a way that the chorus, it was an all-male chorus. They were in a tavern, and they were singing a beer hole song in this opera. And I was in the first row. And boy, was I impressed. And I said to myself, I want to give that a shot if I can, because that looked like it was so much fun. So that's what I did for a long time, and then eventually segued into media and teaching.
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea that you had a military background. Like, it's just all spectrums of life there, man. You've lived a very successful
no military background.
Oh, sorry, I misread you on that one. I heard it wrong. But yeah, it's just an interesting time period. Like, it's just crazy how much it's changed over the years. And,
yeah, and you know as well as I do the dramatic changes in the media. With the dawning of the internet in 1994, and all the change that has brought. And I've had the good fortune, maybe misfortune is a better word. I'll frame it in the positive. I've had the good fortune of having a chunk of time in the 20th century analog, you know, and then a good portion post analog into the nonlinear era, digitization, and the internet. So I've had a bit of both. And I can tell you that it's really the change to the internet is one of the major changes throughout history in terms of communication, starting with the Gutenberg press, right, 1400s, and then we've got maybe 5 or 6 other big media eras that happened after that, culminating with the internet in 1994, and all that's the computer era. It's an exciting time to be alive.
It is. I hope to take it and make it, you know, find out just kind of keep up to date as best I can. But really, honestly, Jim, it's just been such an awesome time with you today. I'm so happy that I was able to get you to come out and just give me the opportunity to speak with you. I haven't actually seen you in so long. Like, I'm just so thankful for this opportunity. And, you know, if you ever want to stay in touch, maybe go out to eat or something, I just want to talk your ear off.
Oh, man, anytime, man. Just let me know. We'll go ahead and have coffee or something. And best wishes to you, Kurt.
You too.
Graduation in a couple months and off off you go
Oh, yeah.
to a successful life somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll keep you posted on that. Hopefully we can go out and talk about it, and I'll see how my career goes in the future. But, you know, I want you to have a great rest of your evening and a happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And this has been a really fun time on 3Qs and You. I'm your host, Kurt Owen, and this was our awesome, talented special guest, Jim Poston.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you.